All right, so what we have here is an old Sears Craftsman lawnmower. Not a lawn tractor, but a lawn mower. Um, I'm not even sure what year this is. If I had to take a stab, I'd say this is probably I don't know, maybe a mid-'80s machine. So we're talking 35 years old. It's an 8 horsepower, 30-inch cut. That's where the 830 comes from. I got this from a guy who was cleaning out his barn. Said it was taking up too much space. I shot him an offer of $40 and he took it. It does not run. It has been sitting for years. And so the gentleman did say that it was running. So I took his word for it because this thing is this cool. It's, as you can see, it's a 5-speed. It's electric start. It's just, I think these are super, super cool, these old rear engine mowers. They're super simple to work on, and I'm going to show you why. The problems with this is, of course, it's been sitting, so the battery's dead. And also, the back tire here, you can see, is flopping right around. I did get some air in this one, which was also flat, and I loaded it in my truck. And so that actually has been holding air for most of the day. So what I'm going to do, of course, I'm going to clean it up. I'm going to drain the oil and get new oil in there. I'm going to pull the gas tank. I'm going to pull the carburetor. So that way we have new fuel throughout the system. I'm going to charge the battery, or of course we're going to check the air filter, blow it off if necessary. I'm going to check the spark plug, maybe clean that off. That's just to get it started. And then after that, we'll address that rear tire, maybe throw a tube in, or we'll see if we can get that to seat with some air. And then hopefully we'll get this thing mowing. All right, I wanted to show you guys a couple things that I found here. So, I took the cap off and looked at the gas tank. There's no fuel in there. That's a good thing. And it actually looks pretty damn clean inside the tank. So, we are good to go there. So I don't have to pull the tank off. So if I can ever get this cap back on. A little tricky. Okay, and then the engine oil. As you can see, it's a little low and it's a little dirty, but it's not bad, and it wasn't run with no oil. So that is a good thing. I also pulled the spark plug. Spark plug, basically all I did was hit it with a wire brush just to clean it off. It's okay to do that if you're going to test these things out. But with an old machine like this, you want to just get a new plug if possible. It always says the plug number on the side, and just go to a hardware store. Auto parts store or Tractor Supply or something like that. Get a new one. A trick that my dad taught me a long time ago, I wanted to tell you guys. For a motor that's been sitting, you want to make sure that the engine is in good shape. So take a penetrating oil like WD-40, and then when you pull the spark plug out, I'm sorry guys, I am not the best guy at filming. You want to stick the hose in there and give it a good shot of penetrating oil. What that's going to do is that's going to seep into your piston rings, and that's going to kind of free everything up to start, because it's been sitting for so long. You don't want the piston rings to basically scratch your cylinder walls. So you want to make sure it's lubricated as possible. So that's a smart way to do it right off the bat, is just to get that on there. So spark plug should be good to go. That's reseated in there. The other thing I wanted to show you was I found some broken wires. So if this flashlight would turn on, I found some broken wires. As you can see, that red one right there, that's kind of split apart. So I'm going to have to reattach those properly. And then down under here, if you can see, there's another black broken wire right there, and then one up there. So I'm gonna have to address those and get those reattached. I'm gonna do that before, of course, I apply any battery power to this thing or try anything. But other than that, I haven't really found anything else too terrible. So we're looking to be in pretty good shape here. It even has a fuel filter on. So, like I said before, I'm gonna pull the battery and keep on working. All right, so I may have some bad news. Actually, not bad news, but just some news. So after I took the battery out, I'm looking in here and I'm seeing some evidence of life. And then if you look inside here, you can kind of see there's a whole bunch of stuffing and everything. And then I started peeking right here. You can see there might have been something living in this thing. So I'm gonna have to unbolt all these covers and clean this out and investigate what was in there. All right, so I got the 2 bolts off back here, and I unbolted the exhaust, and as you can see, there's a whole bunch of stuff in there. So I'm gonna keep on taking this stuff out and clean this thing up. All right, here's a Jimmy's Garage quick tip. If you have a screw that you're trying to get out and it takes a Phillips head screwdriver, and you really don't have the space to get at it, like I kind of didn't really have the space to get at it, you grab a pair of channel locks and you take your left hand and you push in towards the screw, and then take your channel locks and just crank, and your nut or bolt or screw or whatever it is should come loose. Just a little tip to loosen these things up when you don't quite have the space. All right, check it out. I just got the cover off, and look at that pile. I started vacuuming on the cooling fins here, and didn't realize there was going to be that much in there. So I'm assuming there was a mouse or a squirrel or something. As you can see, there's shells of nuts in there, or acorns or whatever. So I have my shop vac right here. I'm going to vacuum this guy up, and then I can actually start the process of tearing apart the carburetor and cleaning that out and putting it back together. And then, seeing as I have the battery charging over there, once the carb is clean and the air filter's clean, I can get some fresh fuel in here, hook the battery back up, and we can give it hell. Oh, I'm gonna do the oil also, but we're getting closer. All right, dude, so here is the carb. This guy, it was a little finicky to get off, but it was not too bad. It appears that, looks like the air box is bolted straight to the carb in this kind of cool little setup. I'm not going to take everything apart because there's a whole lot of linkage and other things going on in here, and I don't want to screw anything up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop the bowl. So this is your fuel bowl. This is where your fuel sits, and then the vacuum or suction from the engine causes the fuel and air to be sucked in the engine right down through this channel here. So if I can pop the fuel bowl off and I can tinker around underneath there and I can shoot the jets out with compressed air and some carb cleaner, I think that should do the trick. Check this out, guys. Look at all that sludge in the bowl. That is pretty bad. This is a good example of why you should be weary when you buy an old piece of equipment that's been sitting. Even if it looks great, if it's sitting, the chances are there's been fuel sitting in the carburetor, and it's going to be all gummed up like this. So you see this float? This is supposed to have a little bit of bounce to it, even though I know it's not. I'm not bouncing it vertically, but this thing is heavy. It's going to have to be all taken off and cleaned out. So what I'm going to do is get a little bowl. I'm going to put this stuff in there. I'm going to soak it in carb cleaner, wash it off, and then reassemble. All right, so I got the carb all put back together. Didn't think you guys needed to see all that. And then I have it reinstalled in the tractor here. So the next steps are basically reassembly. What else did I need to do? The plug is good. We're going to put fresh fuel in there. I blew out the fuel lines. We're going to put the air filter back on. I'm going to do a quick oil change. So I'll show you guys how to do that. Actually, you know what? I have that on another video, so I don't need to waste time doing that. So it's going to be new fuel. I'm going to put everything together. Oh, I have to fix all those little broken wires, which is real easy. I'll show you how to do that. So, yep. All right, so the mower is put back together. I got everything back in, all the nuts and bolts. Everything's all fastened in. So basically what we did is pull the covers off. We pulled the gas tank off. We pulled the plug, exhaust, the carburetor. We took apart the carburetor, soaked it in carb cleaner, blew the jets out, cleaned the float, cleaned the bowl, and made sure that all those passageways are clear. I blew out the fuel line, and I told you guys that I was going to show you how to fix these wires, and I totally forgot when I was doing it. But here's an example of one of the wires. They were frayed, so I pretty much just took some wire strippers and I stripped down to get, I don't know, maybe a ½ an inch or so of bare copper wire. And then I twist them together, fold it over, and I slide this heat shrink tubing over. And then I use the heat gun to melt it down. And that does a pretty good job of keeping them connected. There's another one underneath that I did. I actually did 3 in total. But yeah, so that should do a good job. And the only snag that I'm running into right now is that my battery charger broke on me. So I have a trickle charger attached to the battery right now, but it's only reading at about 9 volts. And so I was going to give it the rest of the day and see if that'll climb closer to 12. And I also have my solar charger, but I don't think we're going to get much of a solar charge on a day like today. So what I'm going to do is maybe wait for better weather and then pull my other tractor in here and maybe put this battery in, see if we can get this thing going on a jump start. I'm going to forego the oil change for now just because I want to see if I can get this thing to turn over. If we get it to turn over, I'll do a full oil change, show you guys how to do that, and then we'll do a cleanup and we'll see if we can sell this thing for a profit. All right, gang, so here's the deal. I decided to bail on this project. So here's the reasoning. I don't want to spend any money on it, basically. The battery did not hold a charge. Battery's going to be at least $40, maybe $45. I'm going to have to spend either 10 or 15 bucks on a tube for this tire. So we're looking at, maybe 50 to 60 bucks. And then, depending on that, I'm not sure how this old carburetor is going to hold up. I did clear it out and blow out the lines and all that other stuff, but just in case there's an issue, I don't want to have to screw with it. Also, I've never actually driven it, so the transmission could have issues. It might not, though. I'm not sure. But what I wanted to do with this project was to pretty much spend little to no money and turn a profit. I paid 40 bucks. If I have to put 60 bucks into it, that means I'm in it $100 in probably 8 or 9 hours of my time. And I don't want to go ahead and sell it for 150 bucks, only to make a $50 profit, if even that, for all that time and money invested. So I decided to bail on it. I have it posted online right now. I'm hopefully just going to get the 40 bucks that I paid for it and move on. So sometimes projects aren't worth doing if you don't want to invest enough, a lot of money into it. So that's why I decided to bail. I'm sorry if that's a disappointment, but sometimes you just got to pull the plug. So let me know what you think in the comments section of this little tractor. I think it's really, really cool. And if I had more time, which I don't, I've had this for well over a week, and I've been tinkering away, and I'm still not done with it. But if I had more time and it wasn't the apocalypse and I wasn't worried about making some profit, then I'd probably keep going. But time to cut my losses and move on. Thank you guys for watching. Have a great day.